What's going on, guys? Thank you for joining me for day 4 of our 12 Days of Christmas special. My name is Jordan, also known as JMonster, and I hope you guys are having a wonderful holiday season. And what better way, really, to celebrate the holidays than to pull up in front of your computer with a mug of hot cocoa and enjoy a glorious battle in the snow. We're going to be playing Rome 2 today with a couple of very festive Christmas mods that bring 2 Finnish Christmas traditions to life in the Rome 2 engine. First, and certainly most numerous, are these wonderful little red-clad devils here. These are the Tonttu, who are, I believe, the Finnish equivalent of Santa's elves. They are his helpers. And leading the army is going to be the jolly red fat man himself. This is Joulupukki. And I did my best with that pronunciations there. Thank you to WK for lending me a little bit of a hand in that regard, but I'm sure they're not perfect. But I'm confident you guys will forgive me. But in any case, we're going to be pitting the might of tradition against the might of the Roman Republic. There is a Roman legion that has been sent northward, and what they found is a little bit outlandish. So without any further ado, let's jump into the battle itself. I hope you guys enjoy it. Now, the Roman scouts have reported that the enemy lies somewhere in the frozen woods before them, but the Tonttu are very small and quite easily escape detection. So while we wait for the Roman commander to decide what he's going to do, let's take a quick look at the army comps, at least as we can see them. So the Roman Legion have brought 10 units of the Vigiles. There's a very good reason for this instead of the standard Legionaries, because the Legionaries stack up quite well against the Tonttu. The Tonttu are not very small, they really mostly have numbers. So in the interest of an even fight, we decided we'd bring 10 units of Vigiles. And that's going to be backed up by a second line of legionary cohorts. I believe there's about 4 to 5 units of them. Very heavy infantry that are going to do extremely well against the lightly armored Christmas elves. Now over here in the center we have the pride of the Legion who bear its standard. We have the Eagle cohort who are going to inspire the troops around them to greater feats of heroism. Also got a little bit of a skirmishing support line. 2 units of levies who are absolutely not dressed for this weather. And over on the flanks, I believe, I've got 2 units of Roman Scorpion. There should be one here, and yeah, you can see the one over on the other edge. Now I've brought 4 units of War Dogs to use as scouts and potentially a holding force. And I think that just about does it. Oh no, of course, we have the Roman commander, the Legatus, along with the rest of his bodyguard mounted on their steeds, who are going to provide us with a very limited amount of cavalry support. So let's pop over onto the other end. Naturally, there's going to be Santa and Christmas elves hiding somewhere in here. There's a great many of them, at least 40. But the elves have also brought these. I have no idea what these contraptions are. There's some kind of present thrower, I'm pretty sure, to toss gifts and Christmas cheer to warm their Roman adversaries across the field. And I believe there are about 6 units of heavy onagers. That's a lot of artillery, and the reason that we decided to bring these was because the Tonttu actually kind of need the range support, and we could always rationalize them away as present flingers. So let's go ahead. Let's take it up to full speed here. Now that the Roman commander has decided he's going to move into the woods and face his enemy in close combat. Hopefully he's not walking in to another Teutoburg. Yeah, the Roman Legion moving in 3 different wings. The left wing composed of about half the force of Vigiles and Legionaries. The right composed of the other half. In the center, of course, is the Pride and Joy, the Eagle cohort, backed up by another couple units of Vigiles. So the War Dogs are going to be the first ones to go forward. I'm going to be sending them in advance ahead of the army because I want to figure out exactly where our enemy is and what kind of numbers we're dealing with. Now, the Tonttu have, it's something similar to a stock ability in Warhammer 2. They're able to hide just about anywhere, even when they're moving. So there's actually a great deal of them quite close to my lines right now, but I have no idea that this is the case. I'm just going to move my War Dogs forward because I see that his artillery is targeting them, and I want to try and waste some of his ammunition and get his focus away from my front line of heavy infantry, who are just kind of static at the moment and very much at the mercy of that very, very stacked skirmish line. So my forces begin to move even farther into the woods, and my War Dogs are going to finally come into sight of the enemy. You can see just hordes of these Tonttu moving forward, armed with spears, supported by their artillery. There is just hundreds, thousands of them charging out of the woods here towards our front line. So I'm going to unleash my War Dogs, try and bog down their front lines as best as I can. Unfortunately, my micro wasn't exactly on point for the rest of my war dogs, so I'm going to release about 3/4 of them. But this unit over here is going to get caught out by a group of rampaging Tontu who are charging hard into combat right there. So now that I've bogged down my enemy for the most part, I'm going to be able to move in and pretty well pick my battles with my Vigiles. Except over here in the center, the Tontu, and I think that's actually one of my Legionary cohorts. No, actually, no, that's another unit of Vigiles. They're going to collide with some of the advancing Tontu, and it's looking pretty even here on the front lines. I'm going to keep my Legionaries in the back as a support unit, and they're going to be tossing their javelins here into the flank of this Tontu unit that we managed to catch a little bit off guard. They're going to get a little bit of friendly fire there, which is unfortunate, and yeah, many of our Vigiles are actually going to die to our friendly fire there. So not the best use of my Legionaries, but these Tontu here are being shredded by that combined arms approach. Over here you can see front lines beginning to form. Actually, I had my Eagle cohort moving forward, but since they're being targeted very heavily by the artillery from the Christmas Raiders, I'm gonna have to pull them back, try and get them into the cover of the tree line, so they're not going to take nearly as much damage. Now, there is a big gap here that is still open that I can exploit at my convenience, and that is very much by design. I wanted to have this so I can move these troops out here to try and flank and surround these Tontu. I need to break them up into tiny little bands and surround them and destroy them. Otherwise, I will find myself overwhelmed by their numbers. Now, over here on my left flank, I did not see this at all. There's a very heavy commitment of these Christmas elves. I would say there's probably about 1,000 or 1,200 or so of them. And they're going to be scooting around my flank. The only thing defending my back lines and all of my support units is my Legatus. Now, back here, I'm going to start to commit my my Legionary reserves into the fray against the Tontu, trying to tie them down as much as possible. But there's so many of them, and my positioning here is actually advantageous to the Christmas Raiders, because now their artillery can very easily focus all along the flank of this unit, getting some nice enfilading shots there. So even though my Legionaries far outclass the Tontu in combat, some strategic artillery support can very, very quickly turn that engagement around. Over here, my second unit of Legionary cohort in reserve, I'm going to charge into the Tontu, deal some serious damage to them, and now it is going to be down to my general to try and hold back the tide. So getting flanked here by my Legatus, these Tontu are not going to be able to stand for too long. You can see them taking horrendous casualties, but they are going to wrap their dirty little elven mitts around my Roman Scorpion, and my catapult, or my Scorpion crews are going to be locked in close combat with these vicious little Christmas beasts. Now over here I've got my my levies and my war dogs and all of my lighter units just trying to distract the Tontu for as long as possible. The levies unfortunately aren't able to turn around and fire because they are so hard pressed by the Tontu who are just hot on their heels. Over on the other end, on my right flank, you can see that I think I said the other one was my right flank, that would be my left, but on my right flank another large group of Tontu have managed to skirt around my lines. And my Legionaries, again, my reserves locked in combat with these Christmas elves. I have one over here, but this force fight quite chaotic, and unfortunately I'm not microing my troops as effectively as I could be. I'm going to move in here with my my Legionaries. What I should be doing is pulling them back towards my back lines to try and defend them, but unfortunately I'm going to make that a big mistake here. I'm going to commit my Legionaries to combat against the Tontu, who are, I think, busy fighting my war dogs. Let's move over here and see what's going on in the center. The Eagle cohorts very easily repulsing the Christmas Elves' assault, getting a nice little flanking shot here, or a nice flank charge into a very large group of the Tontu. But unfortunately, they're very exposed out here in this grove, and I think this is exactly what the player across from me wanted. This is Archangel, by the way. This is exactly what he wanted, because now he's going to be able to focus down my Eagle cohort very, very easily with his artillery. You can see he's trying to get some shots off on them. Artillery not the most accurate in the woods like this. It's a little bit better for them, and I think in a field battle, my Eagle cohort very exposed, and I've already taken significant losses. Look at that. About 33% of that unit has already been wiped out, and that's an important unit that hasn't really done a whole lot of fighting at this point. Over here along the line, you can see the Tontu being systematically exterminated by the might of the Roman Legion. A mechanical meat grinder grinding down these Tontu into dust, sending them back to the fantasy realm from whence they come. There's still quite a lot more of them, and it looks like some of the Vigiles are actually going to begin to break in the face of these Tontu, so I'm going to see a significant portion of my front line here, close enough to my center, just slightly offset to the left of my center, begin to collapse. And now it's going to be down to the Legionaries to do their best. Over here you can see my Legatus trying to actually got a nice hammered anvil attack into the Tontu, but he's now going to be chased down by another unit of these spear-wielding holiday maniacs, and he's going to be forced to retreat. So my Legatus is going to be fleeing out of the woods. He's actually being targeted right now by most of Archangel's artillery. That's going to be pretty bad. I don't want to lose my Legatus. I think most of my Vigiles would melt away after that kind of morale shock. Let's get down and dirty here in the woods. Some of the Vigiles in the center are looking like they've managed to reform and are still holding the line. Oh my goodness, it's Santa himself running some vicious charges into my Eagle cohort. I sent them forward to try and silence the artillery, forgetting that the big jolly fat man was lying in wait. And it looks like he's got a little bit of assistance here as well. Some of the Tontu lying in ambush. I'm going to charge into my Eagle cohort. My Eagle cohort is going to stand up to that real well. And the Tontu are going to find themselves overmatched, but it is going to tie them down long enough for Santa to come in on the flanks and get a nice charge here into the flank of my Eagle cohort. I'm going to cut down quite a lot of them. They're now down to less than half of their strength, and they're very, very far removed from the rest of their army. And without that morale support, a lot of the Vigiles are going to start to melt away. So this is not looking good for the Roman Legion. You can see a general retreat here, in fact, from the Vigiles all across the line. The center has basically been annihilated. Even the War Dogs have managed to fight longer than the Vigiles, and they're going to begin to flee back towards the safety of, or what they believe to be the safety of the back lines, but the back lines have been completely annihilated. Look at this. A lot of dead levies and things like that here that have been run down by the Tontu, and I think these are, no, those are some of the Tontu, but I'm pretty sure my levies have actually been destroyed here, run down by some of these little forest elves. So the back lines are completely gone at this point. And let's see what we got over here. It looks like the general, my general's bodyguard, is actually charged into battle, trying to silence some of these German heavy onagers, but there's just not enough of them left, and they're going to end up getting shattered. I believe I lost my general a little bit earlier on. Yeah, right here, one of those 4 corpses getting charged in the rear, made by the Tontu, was my general. So now it's down pretty well to the valor of the legionary cohorts, who are standing up very, very nicely to the Tontu. You can see a little bit of ranged fire support coming in from the Scorpion in the back here, but I don't think that the Tontu are going to let that go on for too much longer. And indeed, now that the Vigiles are in full retreat, the Tontu are going to be able to surge forward through my center. Looks like they've actually shattered a unit of my Legionaries. So the Roman Legion has been completely taken by surprise here and lost their front line. So really, it's just their flanks that are holding on wherever the Legionaries are strongest. And over here, you can see some Vigiles now shattering, but the Legionaries still holding strong. So it's going to be down to the might of this iconic Roman unit to carry the day for Rome here. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it. Yeah, that skirmish, or that Scorpion, still firing into the exposed flank of those Tontu. They're not going to be able to last for too much longer. You can see that this unit of Legionaries has done some serious, serious work. There's dead Tontu all around them, and with the support from that Roman siege weapon, they're going to be able to shatter this flank of the Tontu army. And now, this is really important. Here, let's hold that down. If I can beat the Tontu on the flanks, I will be able to collapse on the center and surround a significant number of their infantry, and maybe even beat them piecemeal if I can get some decent surrounds off. But it's going to be hard to do with a single unit. So really, it's going to come down, I think, to over here where the 2 Legionaries are still standing strong, along with a unit of Vigiles who is fighting somehow. The last Vigile still in the field, fighting alongside their Roman brothers. Yeah, a lot of the Tontu have kind of shattered here. Looks like my Legionaries, oh, we might see a rout here. If these Legionaries rout, that is basically it for my army. And another unit of Legionaries is going to go down. They're going to shatter. We won't be seeing anything more from them. And unfortunately, the Vigiles are going to lose heart as well. And they're going to flee in the face of the overwhelming might of the Christmas Raiders. So this is looking really ugly for Rome so far. Over here you can see a unit of Legionaries fighting back-to-back against the Christmas Elves, doing their best to hold the line. But now that the Tontu have shattered a unit of their Legionary brothers, I think that them fleeing close to this unit might have an adverse effect on their confidence. So we could see a mass rout begin to take shape here if the Tontu are able to bring more forces to bear and surround these guys. And indeed, they're going to try. You can see some of their units charging into the flank. Now this unit of Legionaries is completely surrounded, but luckily the Legionaries are skilled enough that they're going to be able to hold out for long enough to shatter a unit of Tontu, and now they'll be able to focus all of their attention on these few remaining units. So Santa is going to come in and try and make sure that the Roman Republic knows defeat this day. Joulupukki running some cycle charges in and out of the Roman Legionaries. Yeah, some really nice cav micro here from Archangel. Legionaries going to turn around to face him just in time. Santa's going to find himself a little bit bogged down there with the Legionaries. You can see that they were wavering just a moment ago, I believe. Yeah, that's pretty ugly. So now Santa has broken through the lines. He's going to be able to just wheel back around and come in from the rear where the Roman Legionaries are not formed up. Luckily, I was on top of this and I managed to turn them back around so that they weren't being cycle charged from the rear by that vicious chariot. And one final charge there is going to see Santa Claus off into the next world. Christmas has indeed been ruined, all thanks to the Roman Republic. Over here, the Legionaries mopping up all the remains of the Tontu. If we take a look at the tactical map, not a lot of those Christmas elves left. And now that they've lost their leader, it may not be very long now before they begin to turn and flee back to the northern wastes from whence they come. Got some shattering here. These Tontu have been completely annihilated. This unit of Legionaries still standing strong, completely and utterly surrounded, but it is going to manage to shatter, I think, like 3 or so units of the Tontu. So that's going to be basically all she wrote for the Tontu infantry. I think over here the other Legionary cohort, very badly bloodied, but still standing, has had the same amount of success. So now the Roman Legion, if you can really call them that at this point, really consisting of maybe about a cohort worth of their Legionaries. They're going to have free reign to bomb up all the remains of the Tontu and then finally advance upon the artillery pieces. But it looks like the artillery is going to come to them. Most of these artillery crews now out of ammunition. Looks like got some swaby artillery crews here with their that beautiful afro. They're going to follow up the Tontu's advance into the woods and try and mob the smallest unit of Legionary and prevent the Roman forces from uniting and presenting a solid front against all that remains of the Christmas Raiders. So the Roman Legionaries, I think they realize what's happening, and we may see them begin to reform here to meet that charge, because they're not going to be able to run fast enough to meet up with their ally over there. I do not believe so. Yeah, the Christmas artillery crews, the present throwers, are already on top of them. They're going to bravely charge headlong into some of the most dangerous heavy infantry in the world. Roman Legionaries doing very well against these guys. You can see those artillery crews just being completely massacred, but there's so many more to come. There's at least 100, maybe 200 of these artillery crew, and they're going to swarm against this very, very thinly stretched Roman shield wall. There's going to be some brutal fighting here all along the line, but I don't know how long the Roman Legionaries are going to be able to stand up to this. Looks like they are wavering. If this unit is completely destroyed, the other unit may end up finding itself surrounded and completely annihilated. So the Christmas Raiders still have an opportunity here if they can break this unit of Legionaries. But it looks like now they are steady, and the rest of the Tontu have been wiped out. You can see quite a lot of dead Christmas elves here. And now the second and more powerful Legionary cohort is going to be able to wheel around and come to the aid of their brothers. And that is going to be it right there. The Roman Legionaries have ruined Christmas for everybody. They slew Santa and his army of helpers and presumably annexed the North Pole, adding it to the Roman Empire, one of the forgotten provinces of the Roman Empire. So let's go ahead. Let's take a look at the casualties at the end there. Damn, look at some of that. The Legionary cohorts doing extremely well for themselves, getting 700 or so kills apiece. This one did not do nearly as well, only 466, if you can say that in regards to a Legionary unit that killed well over 2 or 3 times its number. The Vigiles did not do great. Some of them did really, really poorly. 26 in that unit right there. Those are lightly armored Christmas elves. The War Dogs, they definitely paid for themselves, I would say. Roman Scorpions getting a solid 100 or so kills. Levies not really pulling their weight in the Roman army. This time around, Legatus getting nearly 200 kills. Look at that. Look at all that Tontu. There's more of them. I don't think it shows the full 40. There should definitely be about 40 or so of those Christmas elves in there. They did some serious work, and I spread pretty well average across the whole army. 200 in that one, however. 117 into the one off to the right. Damn. That is some serious holiday might that Santa and his elves brought to bear. So I hope you guys have enjoyed day 4 of our Christmas special. Day 5 is going to be coming out in a couple days, and between now and then, I think we're going to have another replay on 30 Days Reforged. I just got one in that I'm excited to show you guys. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed day 4, and I will see you next time. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye!